Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having represented the University of Notre Dame for 6 terms in Congress, I wanted to ask you the important question. Who won that football game between the fire department and the police department on Sunday?
You notice I brought it up. So,
okay. What was the score?
Police department won.
Okay. On a much more serious note, I want to thank all 3 of you for your time and your testimony today. You've been very helpful. Commissioner Kelly, you've been asked a couple times about the sharing of information, particularly intelligence information, with the FBI. I'm curious about how you share it with people below you and across from you at the fire department. Let's say you have very important information. Do you have a top secret security clearance?
Yes.
And do your chiefs underneath you have that same top?
Some do, yes.
Some do and some don't.
Right.
So what I'm curious about is that Al-Qaeda has evolved into this lethal, agile, poisonous, venomous, quick-acting, and very smart army against the United States. They did the World Trade Center and attacked it with a van of explosives in 1993. In 1998, they simultaneously attacked 2 embassies in Africa, killing 224 people. Then they tried a sea operation against the USS Sullivans. Didn't work very well, but they came back and attacked the USS Cole and killed 17 sailors. And then they came back to the World Trade Center again, this time with airplanes, and this time killing 3,000 people. They are going to continue to evolve and adopt and do new things to come at us in New York City and other places. And what I worry about is that we are not working in the same way with sharing information, using our first responders as sources and then getting information down to them, because I would bet that many of those people that you need to get some of this information to are not cleared. Do not have top secret security clearances. So how do you prepare and train and get people ready in the fire department for the threat that you might be hearing about as Al-Qaeda evolves in the next year, in the next 2 years?
Well, are you talking about the fire department or internally
I'm talking
in the
about
police department?
you and the police department and then over to the fire department.
Well, we do a series of things in the police department. First, let me talk about that. We have bulletins, information bulletins that we put out on a regular basis, goes out through the entire department. We have intelligence officers who are assigned through our intelligence division to precincts who give briefings, put out information. Now, they're not, we're putting out obviously unclassified information, and we're giving out that information. I mean, I think we do a reasonably good job of it. We do a fair amount of training, telling officers what to look for. One of the big frustrations, of course, we all know, is the lack of specificity in terms of information coming down a pike. It just doesn't come neatly packaged. So we're putting out information that's pretty much public source information to the officers in the field. As far as the fire department, Nick and I have had some conversations, and we get information about something of particular concern. We'll have that conversation, and I'll talk to the commissioner. But it doesn't come, in a nice, neat form that it's so easy to transmit. I say there's a the raising of the alert level in the country, and obviously the fire department does some things on their own.
Do you have the numbers for how many people are top secret cleared underneath you? How many people there are, and how many are cleared, and how many are not?
I do. I would say, obviously Joint Terrorist Task Force folks and others, we probably have 75.
75?
Yeah, 50 to 75.
That are not cleared?
No, that are not cleared?
Yes, I'm asking for the number that are underneath you and then the number that are cleared with top secret security clearances.
The total number of people that report
total
to
number
me?
And then the total number underneath you and then the number that are cleared that you could share that information with your clearance level.
I'm going to say about the total number who are cleared, about 50 to, we keep getting clearances, it takes about 10 months to get them. So I'm going to say anywhere from 50 to 70 who are cleared. The size of the agency you're talking about, we have 36,000 uniform officers and 15,000 civilian employees.
And I would assume, Commissioner Scoppetta, that you're clear, you have top secret security clearance.
I have had it. I don't know if it's still active.
May not be.
I rely entirely on the police department for our intelligence.
You don't have your own
And
intelligence.
we have a representative at the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and he has top security clearance.
But you're not sure if your clearance is active or not.
He's given me information that he thought was relevant for the fire department to know about. So I'm not sure whether it's active.
All right. Just so you know, in OEM, we have top secret clearance, and one of our personnel, I will soon be top secret cleared.
We certainly hear when we discuss this issue with people across the country that there are problems with the amount of time that it takes to clear people and the number of people at the lower levels that can be cleared and get the information so they can be trained and they can be anticipating where al-Qaeda goes next and how they come at us next time. Commissioner Scoppetta, a quick question for you. Hypothetically, let's say that those planes on September the 11th, 2001 had not gone into the 88th floor, the 92nd floor, but they had gone into the 50th floor or 55th floor. We have found that the fatality rates above the fire line were significant, lethal, almost comprehensive of those number of people. We heard this morning from Mr. Reese and Chief Morris that progress made on both rescue above the fire line and helicopter rescue had not evolved as quickly as it should. Where are we today if, hypothetically, some kind of terrorist attack took place on the 30th floor of a 60-floor building? How would we try to make sure that those 30 floors above the fire line or the attack have a coherent policy to rescue people or get people out of those buildings?
I guess we're referring to evacuation plans.
Yes, sir.
And I think that has to be on a case-by-case basis, whether you would evacuate a building or not. Traditional and popular wisdom is that we keep people from going up in buildings, and so we would keep people, of course, below the fire floor. We would not want them to go up, try and get on roofs and try to get down. Those above the fire floor, we would be attacking the fire and trying to get them a path down. Helicopter rescues, first of all, the fire department doesn't have any helicopters. We have a protocol with the police department that allows us access to get our firefighters to fires using their helicopters, and that if it was a building that we could land on, we have that as well. There are, we think every high-rise building, every large building ought to have an evacuation plan to begin with. I know of my own experience from some of the corporations that we deal with that have been helpful to us since 9/11, that they not only had evacuation plans, but they drilled on them on a regular basis, much to the consternation of many of their tenants, but it turned out to be enormously helpful on 9/11. J.P. Morgan comes to mind in their building, so that we would be in favor of having mandatory evacuation plans for high-rise buildings. But if you have a fire above, if you have people caught in a high-rise building above the fire floor, and you're talking about the 50th floor, you have an enormous challenge for firefighters.
Why not get your own helicopters?
Well, where do I sign the requisition? We've relied on the police department helicopters in the past. We don't have a helicopter unit and trained and so forth. That would be an enormous undertaking, and given our fiscal constraints right now, I suppose, not I suppose, but I would prefer to rely on PD helicopters and use that money for a host of other things, some of which I've touched on.
Does Mayor Bloomberg's new policy announced Friday address this particular incident command issue, that you would be able to coordinate this and communicate this very quickly?
Well, absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. And precisely in an incident of that magnitude, you would have incident command operated. You would likely have Commissioner Kelly, myself, and Commissioner Scoppetta there, and those things would be done at the highest level. But even if not, they would be done at the ranking officer level and could be coordinated immediately in the operations post where they'd all be.